Welcome to the Memoir Networks Better Memoir Writing Masterclass. Today's topic is how to develop the somewhere of your story. That is, it's about your story's setting, about where your story happens. Without a well-articulated setting, your memoir remains in space in a nowhere land. It will not reveal some localized place that all memoir readers need to be comfortable in a story. For those of you who do not know me, I am Denis Ledoux. I'm a writer, a teacher, and the founder of the Memoir Network. I'm so pleased to have you join me today. I love to be able to share what I know about memoir writing to help you to write a better memoir. This masterclass is brought to you by the Memoir Networks coaching services. A writing coach offers you just-in-time solutions, be it encouragement, technical assistance to acquire specific writing skills, counseling through writing blocks that may be stopping you, planning a writing schedule, and so much more. Set up a complimentary Get Acquainted session by going to the address listed in the description of this video. You'll be glad you did. Oh, and before I forget, I also have a bonus for you at the end of this video. Now, let's begin the masterclass. Writers seem to grasp that every memoir needs a well-developed set of characters, of actions, but the same is often not true when they consider the setting of a memoir. The term setting is generally understood to refer to the physical where in which your memoir takes place. This can be a city or a rural neighborhood, a state or province, a country. This sense of setting includes a house, a room, and a street. If your pen were a movie camera, the setting would be what your camera would eventually project onto the screen. In this first sense, setting is a physical and tangible element. Even when the physical setting no longer exists, way in the past, your obligation as a memoirist is to reproduce it in your pages as if it was still there, as if you were able to visit it. The reader feels as if she or he were in the midst of the world that once was for you. The memoir setting includes both where and when your story occurs. The where is the place in which the story takes place. It includes interiors and exteriors of buildings, the landscape, and the political demarcations, that is, the town, the county, the country, and so forth. A story set in the prairie provinces of Canada will require different adaptations of its characters than one set in the bayous of Louisiana. A story set in the inner city of Detroit will call for different responses than a story set in the countryside of Ireland. Don't be one of those writers who fails to make us experience the physical context in which the memoir characters live or have lived. The when of your memoir includes the calendar time, for instance, July 9th, 1977. Without dates, we are often left at a loss as to how to interpret your story. The memoir setting, like character, is best established with sense details. Always place your story in a recognizable setting. That is, use descriptive writing to show us where your story occurs. Let us see the double cape with its faded red paint and the two dormers directly above the downstairs windows. Give us a view of the living room inside to the left of the front entrance, where you were sitting in one of the stuffed wingback chairs. Let us notice you passing your finger over the warm armrest as you come to a frayed upholstery cord and thoughtlessly pull at it. Point out the full-leaf maples and the oaks, not generic trees, but maples and oaks, outside the clear window next to your chair, and hear the car that is crushing stones in the driveway. Let us taste the pastries, cobblers and brownies and molasses cookies that you are being served on a large oval china that belonged to the grandmother of your hostess. Without the sort of tangible physical setting provided in the scene I've just outlined for you, just mentioned, your story remains an ethereal piece, inhabited by phantoms, lost in a conceptual space. Your story needs to have a sense of place that is very real, very tangible. Descriptive writing, full of sensory details, will do that for your memoir setting. But there's another sense of setting that I want to get into. Setting in a memoir can also refer to a whole series of abstract factors that are equally critical to understanding and to interpreting your story. This could be the socioeconomic status of your family, especially in relation to the community, the town in which you and your family lived. Let's look at the person's economic status. Is she the wife of an upper-income lawyer or a single woman who works as a secretary at a hardware store in a small town? Is he the third son and sixth and last child of a mill worker and a store clerk? Or is he the only child of a heart surgeon father and corporate lawyer mother? Quite a difference there. The time frame, give us the era, the 1950s and 1970s. How about the religion or the religious group that you were part of? Your ethnic or racial group in relation to the community in which you lived. What is your character's cultural community? Is he Yankee, Jewish, Lithuanian American, African American, Chinese American? Show us how the person interacts with this background. We need to know the education of various characters or the lack of education. Are we looking at college graduates or grade school dropouts? Let's see the history of the town, of the state, of the country. This is a big picture element. Writers must pay attention to these spiritual, historical, cultural, and economic settings in order to effectively convey full characters. Without these details, your characters will otherwise remain stick figures without any context, or, to use another image, a fish out of water. By following the guidelines I have suggested, you can succeed at writing for a larger audience, larger than your family and friends, as large as the world. Let me unpack both kinds of setting just a bit more for you. Authors frequently assume either the universality of their experiences or the lack of interest readers will have in their settings, especially the abstract, the intangible settings such as education, religion, culture. Consequently, authors omit including the abstract setting in much detail. The writer might share, we were Congregationalists, but not demonstrate what that meant in her life, whether a lot or a little, how it shaped her and opened her up or closed her down. Your experience is not generally understood without details that particularize the experience. Remember, the setting places your characters in a context and makes them real for the reader. As you become more adept at writing, you will realize that adding these details is not necessarily a matter of adding lengthy descriptions and many footnotes, although both of these may be used to good effect. Much of what you need to add can be done with phrases and single sentences, sometimes even single words. Listen now to how I did this in the following scenes. Her voice maintaining the Italian cadences of her youth. Notice how this little phrase tells us that this woman is not from the dominant American culture. Now how about this one? My eyes scanned the worn linoleum rug in our living room as the visitor asked for a donation. Obviously, this person who is doing the scanning is poor and is probably, well, in a very embarrassing situation where he will have to say, no, we just don't have any money for a donation. Now listen to this. Sense of cooking wafting from the upstairs and the downstairs apartment. Well, you certainly know that this is not a suburban setting with large lawns all around the house. Let me draw some conclusions to this masterclass on setting. As part of the memoir setting, we need to know the entire context that surrounds your character. Again, these contexts include physical, intellectual, spiritual, cultural, economic, educational, and professional, as well as occupational, personal, and public domains. These aspects of your characters must be presented and explored through descriptive writing. The memoir setting is a critical aspect of your memoir. It can change your story from a parochial one that is of interest only to family and friends into a story that captivates the reader with its depth of psychology and its exploration of human nature, and becomes the voice of a generation and of a shared experience. If you would like to explore receiving help with your setting or any aspect of memoir writing, know that we offer a 30-minute complimentary get-to-know-you coaching consultation. Oh, and before you go, here's the bonus promised you, a link to our video explaining direct and indirect dialogue. This video will help you to be more focused on using dialogue to describe your characters. Good luck writing dialogue into your stories. And remember, inch by inch it's a cinch, yard by yard it's hard. Good luck.